here before is actually going to be very big. That experience is huge.
Yeah, the experience gap is absolutely huge because Gravity, for when you look at them, all intents and purposes, is actually a fairly new squad. New jungler this split. Altec coming in as well. This is actually Altec's first playoff appearance.
True. Yeah, and when we look at how much they kind of fumbled the pressure on later in the season for Gravity as well, dealing with pressure, dealing with the inexperience, it could be a big changer in this game here. TSM with the experience, although they have also been struggling lately. So it's going to be a super interesting series.
One thing I'm kicking myself for is asking Loco how the scrims went, because that's always been a big leader for TSM, is they'll flip the other way on the way scrims have been going. It felt so good going into this tournament, and then everything is just wiped clean. It's like there was no good.
And so much changes, too, when a patch comes out and you have extra weeks to practice it. You can even see a Diana ban coming out already targeted towards Bjergsen in the mid lane. And that's most likely not even just a Runeglaive, right? It got nerfed. So I'm actually very curious as to why we're seeing this Diana. It must have had something to do with the scrims.
Gravity definitely getting a lot of focus bans towards that mid lane, unless Sartorin would be thinking of taking one of that Diana pick towards the jungle. Not something we have seen. Rumble and Janna to be banned as well from Team Solo mid side. That Rumble is a flex pick that Gravity can use, so a good double ban there by TSM.
And they've only picked it on blue side as well for Keen in the mid lane.
Yeah, Gravity as well have generally found success when they can flex pick champions. We're also wondering what jungling champion pools are going to be like. Cyrene and I, we were discussing this before, and whether or not we see the Nidalee ban right here, or if we see TSM leave it up and just trade power junglers. I feel like Elise and Nidalee are the two power junglers on this patch, and the question will also be whether TSM allows Santorin to play Nidalee, because he's such a good Nidalee in the spring split. He had a ton of success on it, but he has really been relegated to just playing Gragas and Rek'Sai, and it looks like they're kind of opting in to either play against Nidalee or play it themselves. I'd expect a Nidalee first pick right here.
Yeah, and with 2 support bans, that just means we're going to go with a Shen pick. So that could be a support. That is another flex pick for Gravity here. It could be going to Bunny Fufu.
But do they play the flex game too much over actually getting a priority pick that goes by?
Yes, that's going to be the question, because most of their success has come from playing flex picks. When they've gained most advantages out of pick and bans, a lot of it was the surprise factor they had over the opponent.
Interesting.
Whereas now I really wonder what type of surprise they will get, because everyone knows that Bunny Fufu could absolutely play Shen. They're preparing for both of the circumstances. At least in a perfect world, that's the way Loco Doco has been playing.
I'm extremely surprised by the priority on Shen, because if it is a Bunny Fufu champion, you still have Thresh available for him. You could have taken a Braum later on as well, but they take the Braum away on TSM's side, and it looks like they're just setting up for Siege on TSM. And Gravity, they might be going for global pressure here, having a composition that was working for them. You go back to when Gravity was winning a bunch of games, Tristana was a big pick for them, Shen was a big pick for them, and then we were saying you have to ban these out because that's a strategy they keep running to win.
Does the Elise go all the way through here? Looks like the Eve may be the pick. A blind pick mid lane could be the Azir getting locked in, actually, in Team Solo mid. We'll answer with a Sivir pickup after Trist is also grabbed for Altec.
One other thing we do need to mention in this series is the importance we feel on having the red side, especially when looking at how Keen will perform in lane. He has performed very poorly when he hasn't been able to counterpick the mid lane. He actually has the most variance in his performance in lane. One of the best laners when he gets the last counterpick, being able to get double-digit CS at 10 advantages almost every time he's on red side. But on blue side, he's a negative differential. And now, with the Azir being telegraphed, that's not a pick you flex in the current meta. So Bjergsen will know exactly what he's going up against. And I'm expecting a counterpick from Bjergsen on this Azir.
Which makes it even more curious that Gravity selected blue side for game 1, and they put this much priority onto Shen. Because that's what this whole pick is for, is you get that first pick priority. So there's a strategy here that we may not know, or it may just be them going back to what was working for them in the first beginning of the second split. Because they won 4 games in a row with Shen support. Or 3 games. There you go.
Very interesting. Would you say that this Lulu could even go top for Dyrus here?
It could. I think it could.
That's TSM playing a bit of their own flex game from the red side here, also with the counter to see what gets picked up. They already have what Bjergsen may want in that mid lane thought out, but depending on these 2 picks, that may change here. Remember, the supports and mid lane were pretty much focused here on the pick ban phase, and still, Gravity was happy with picking up one of those mid laners very early in this.
Yeah, there is a lot of power within the Azir pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
The safety. It's what we heard before. If Keen has a good lane. If Keen. If he does, Azir makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, so Evelyn jungle, what will this last pick be? This is when we know whether or not the Shen is a tank, top laner, or tank support. Bunny Fufu's, you gotta play Thresh.
Keeping it Thresh.
There it is.
Took away 3 supports from the pool, and it is Bunny Fufu's specialty support, but it's going to be Move, prioritizing the Evelyn over Elise here. That just seems like his style, though. You want to be able to move around the map, not so much contest people in fights, but be able to get objective control and vision control. Yeah. And counter ganking, too.
Taking a step back, it is a little funny how TSM used 2 support bans on Bunny Fufu, and he's playing Thresh, his best champion.
It's so true.
They got rid of his disengaged supports.
Thresh can disengage too, man. He does everything. Like, it's not the same level of protection, but I wonder about those 2 support bans. They're mainly trying to block specific things with those bans, and Thresh is kind of an all-rounder. Here, though, we'll get to see whether or not this is Bjergsen playing Lulu or something else. Will we see the Jarvan that he's been spamming in solo queue? That's the main question I have here.
Jarvan, Victor Kog'Maw. And that's going to be Dyrus
Olaf.
The top Olaf. We were talking about this. I think this is a huge pick in the current meta for top laners. You get so much priority, and it actually works extremely well against Shen.
Yeah, Shen does not have enough damage really to break through Olaf. Olaf can close the distance and completely destroy him. They also get the Lulu for the move speed plus the Sivir. This is actually a Dyrus comp, which isn't something TSM
it's
has
not.
ever done.
But if
in my memory.
if you remember, Dyrus bringing out, I believe it was the Rise last playoffs, that he was absolutely able to kill Impact on over and over. Dyrus has shown up in playoffs numerous times, so to start doing it now, I don't know, might be a good thing.
The crazy thing about this as well is Gravity's one of their greatest strengths was flexing things and surprising the opponent in champion select. Yet this particular champion select, it is Gravity on the more common champions that they have played, almost no surprises. But TSM with the red side uses the flexibility and the last pick advantage to pull out something completely unexpected.
Flex.
Now the question will be on execution, guys.
Going to be a very interesting matchup. TSM finally showing a bit of power in the top lane. We'll go over Haunter and Dyrus later. Definitely a different matchup or style of play that we've seen throughout the split. And now that's going to be kind of flipped on top of its head here. Haunter on the tank, Dyrus on the aggressor. All day we'll be checking in to see who you at home think will win this series and move on to the semifinals. Keep voting with the hashtag GVWin or the hashtag TSMWin. And we'll tally those up as we get into and throughout the game. We're just about to be on the Rift here for quarterfinal number 2. Gravity versus Team Solo Mid. Both teams fans out to represent here in Power. And they're going to need it. It's going to be a long series. We are now on the Rift.
And you were talking about it, Dyrus composition here. Lulu, Sivir, so much speed to get Dyrus into the back line and put threat onto Altec. Altec is the majority damage dealer of Gravity and the highest damage per minute AD carry in the league. If you can shut down Altec and put pressure on him, which we saw other teams doing at the end of the split, which led to the demise of Gravity for first place, that looks like the strategy TSM is going for here.
And we heard Gravity saying if they can protect Keen, things will be good. But Bjergsen knows when you face Keen, you have to be ready for a few surprises.
The thing about playing against Keen is that you never really know what to expect. Even on blue side, he's willing to blind pick champions like Rumble mid, Jarvan mid. He has no fear of what to play or what he'll pull out. So playing against Keen is always fun. He's kind of like that waged out factor where he'll pull out anything at any time.
And one of the funniest things about that during the regular season is Bjergsen actually ended up playing a lot of Keen's surprise picks and learning them for himself. The biggest example of that would be when Bjergsen picked up the mid lane Urgot after getting a little bit destroyed by Keen's Urgot. Obviously, Urgot has kind of disappeared from the general champion pool. Don't need to talk about that now. That's a whole different topic. This game in particular, though, it was actually TSM throwing the curveball. It's not a mid lane curveball. It's actually a top lane curveball, a move speed composition for the top lane Olaf. And I really want to see how Santorin and Dyrus work around this, how TSM works around this, because for this composition to work best, it is top lane priority.
Well, it's already a power move here from Team Solo Mid. They feel like they're kind of working off the ball, making sure they can find out where Gravity is. They move together, they move safely, and Gravity also squeaks out.
Really nice. Move wasn't spotted. It was Haunter who was spotted. They went in after him, but Move was able to scout TSM with his vision.
So they'll see him with the ward right here. This is another thing. So we've been doing a lot of backwards analysis here, figuring out why Gravity was winning games and why they've kind of fallen off lately. And throwing out kind of the outside of the game aspects that could be true, like the added pressure and teams more preparing for them. When Gravity was at their best, it was the champ select wins with flex picks, and also a lot of their early game strategies, which would give Move a huge advantage at the start of the game. This is another one of those examples where Gravity goes for an early game play, but this one actually sets them behind ever so slightly. It was spotted out, they had to retreat, there wasn't a massive disadvantage, but they already playing from a little bit of a hole.
This works out for Team Solo Mid for now. We'll see if they can continue to adapt or keep a lead for themselves. We know mid-game adaptation for Team Solo Mid is where they falter a bit. And if Gravity still has a few more tricks in mind, it might be able to throw TSM off. Game's evening out a bit as we are going to see the bottom lane start to reach the turret. TSM almost done with top.
But this is an incredibly up. So this is the third wave. They did red buff, Raptors, immediately come top with a lower HP Olaf, who has the increased attack speed.
You can tell they've ran this strat a few times. Dyrus tanks a ton in the jungle, increased attack speed with the low health, and now they're going to try and bounce the wave. So this could be one of the long con freeze strategies over here. What an interesting open here. Dyrus may have a frozen lane for himself because Turtle is actually the one heading down to the bottom side on Sivir.
Oh, tricky play to Keen. Spear does hit Javelin, almost giving him enough of what they need. Both summoners used in mid by Keen there.
That's the pressure that Bjergsen's going to be able to exert on this lane now. He was down a little bit in CS, but Lulu now gets to execute on the lane bully pattern with those summoners down. And Santorin, one of the guys who was actually the first to pick up jungle middle. He was playing it even before she got those buffs to the hunt to jungle creeps. So if he can keep visiting this mid lane, it's going to give Bjergsen an advantage, but it is a Dyrus composition. But when you give Lulu a lot of AP, you have a secondary threat in the mid lane as well.
What kind of wards teams have set up. We don't have sight stones just yet, or the rubies on the junglers to get there. Still just pink and vision wards coming in for Move. He'll keep that going. Unless boy, a ruby crystal behind just now, as he has not been able to back. Or again, I should say. 4.5 on the clock. Dyrus, what is this Olaf going to do if he falls behind? How much of a risk is that champion for the top lane?
Well, you definitely don't want it to fall behind because Olaf being able to ignore CC is somewhat of a binary champion. The main thing if he falls behind, though, is he really just has to try and turn himself into a split-pushing threat. Olafs who are ahead can then steamroll into team fights, but especially just in a straight-up Shen versus Olaf matchup, if he is to build a heavy damage build, he just has so much more in the raw statistics category that he can actually have a small item disadvantage and still be a split-pushing threat.
You also don't have too much trouble farming up against this Shen, which is probably why they've brought Move up here as well, for a bit more aggression on that lane.
An unnecessary ghost right there by Dyrus. The taunt from Haunter missed. He was pretty much safe, but he ghosted anyway when he saw the reveal of Move's E. Still, though, because of the early game and the way they bounce the turrets, it is a pretty decent-sized CS advantage for Dyrus. Down a ghost, but it's not like he's died yet.
Yeah, they're actually putting a lot of resources into Dyrus at the start of the game. I believe he also got solo turret gold when they killed the turret.
Yep, they let him freeze it. Putting him at already about a 430 gold advantage over Haunter this early in the game. All of TSM's advantage, instead of being channeled towards the mid laner, right now is being channeled towards the top laner.
And this was actually a big problem for TSM coming out of MSI, was they didn't put enough into top lane. They didn't back up Dyrus, and it was a big complaint that we kept hearing from them, is that they needed to be able to run top priority strategies. This is a great example, a great way to start the playoffs off for TSM, if they're trying to remedy that now.
Besides a heavy damage dealer in the mid lane for Bjergsen, it's kind of the compositions they ran at Katowice versus WE. The Sivir comp, damage from his Santorin in the jungle from an Italy Jarvan Vi, and Dyrus is actually on a rumble a lot those games, doing damage.
It's something we haven't seen in a long time, too, from Santorin. A damage-dealing jungler. He's usually relegated to Gragas and Rek'Sai, a supportive teamfight jungler. Now he's able to create picks and deal some damage and actually be another AP threat, so you can't just build against this Olaf.
We'll see where they decide to keep going from here. Everybody on the side of Gravity is playing this one very slow with Team Solo Mid's lead, as it should be. Let Move get his vision out and let the team grow. That CS is a bit of a difference there in favor of Dyrus, you could say. So he is going to be big. At what point now do we see, should TSM kind of transition? Use this power, or do they keep Dyrus in that split push factor?
A lot of it's just going to depend on whether or not they can get advanced wards for Dyrus. He's got this giant minion wave up here, so Hauntzer should be able to pick up a good amount of his experience. As long as, like, in an ideal world, if TSM was prepping this a whole bunch in advance, they would actually be trying to dive Hauntzer and push him off this inner turret, because that's the experience and Goldie's been waiting for. No one is in position to that, so it's actually Gravity who's prepping to defend that a little bit by having move on this side of the map. If anything, when this wave hits the turret, TSM would want to transition to Dragon.
Or possibly bottom, look at that bottom lane. I'm actually very curious because you have the Tristana Altec on Gravity's side, and you didn't lane swap it to the opposite side of the map when you took down the bottom turret. You kept it in that lane. And he had a pickaxe advantage over double Thorns. So he could have pushed that turret down fairly quickly.
Maybe feeling kind of dictated by what Team Solo Mid was doing at the time, not keeping everything in their ducks in a line for themselves.
You also saw Bjergsen cheat towards the bottom lane here, threatening to dive. Because blue buff was up, they timed it, and you saw Keem leave that lane. So there was no way Keem could make it to that bottom fight if it was going to happen.
Gravity honestly showing a lot of inaction in the early game.
They're in a pink ward, though.
Solo kill.
Really? I think there might have been a trap there or a heal from Santorin to actually get his assist in, but yeah, solo kill indeed.
It's not a trap. Like, it's literally just move clearing a ward and not respecting the damage of a mid lane Lulu with Ignite. By the way,
I meant a bushwhack trap.
An offensive,
but
of course, bushwhack trap. Helps a little bit. But, geez, this is a disastrous start for Gravity, for sure. Move has been in a slump as of late.
Yeah.
He hasn't really shown much success on champions outside of Nidalee, which makes it all the more perplexing why they didn't first pick Nidalee. They let it fall to TSM. They give them that. This is... So, there's a couple of reasons this could have happened. Gravity has known that TSM has been playing a very simplistic style, and all the communication coming out of the TSM camp is that they are completely going back to basics. So, you actually wouldn't necessarily, if you're reading too much into that, you wouldn't expect them to then allow Santorin to play Nidalee, to put Dyrus on something like Olaf that requires a lot of farm, to put Bjergsen on a more supportive mid laner when he has been the only person able to do damage on TSM and empowered to do damage. So, this is all the more surprising that TSM is kind of pulling out all the stops in game 1 of the playoffs when normally they lose the first game of the playoffs. So a much riskier Team Solo Mid, and so far they're executing. Now the question will be whether they can transition that towards the mid game, since this is not a composition they are used to wielding.
It's like you were saying before, and Gravity's playing a little slow. Usually they're the ones that make the first move. That Team Solo Mid slowly countered this game. They ran around as 4, made sure Gravity didn't get what they want. That also helped Bjergsen get double buffs as well in the mid lane, so Moog loses that. Bjergsen's going to have quite a nice time. A little behind in CS, but they're just clearing waves on each other back and forth.
Okay, now they put Altec into the top lane. They put the Tristana in the lane with the turret that's easy to knock down. So I like this. They're throwing more resources up there. Also, because they first picked this Shen. They first picked Hanser's Shen, and it was getting shut down by what TSM did to it early, and the fact they didn't put it into the long lane afterwards in the bot. So now, this pick needs to be even more effective with less gold on it to justify the priority that it had taken in Champion Select.
You know, the AD carries are doing 1,500 gold right now into Wild Turtle. Where is he? He's actually just back to spend it right now.
Good counter.
Top lane is 3v3, and everybody's going to be backing off here. Should be ults across the board except for the supports just yet. So not too much danger coming from any crowd control there on those two. TSM successfully guarding that top lane as they, as you said, move Altec up to try and get something, but Gravity is stopped.
It's a little too late for that. It's usually a timing thing, where as soon as the other AD carry comes to bot, you go to the opposite lane, you trade 2 turrets on the outside, and then eventually test each other's siege in the mid lane.
Hauntzer been able to get a bit more CS in his favor. Usually been seeing him on some pretty big carry champions this season, but that flex pick Shen we thought for Bunny Fufu went to him, so we're going to have to see the plays come in the fighting phase. And Gravity has not been too keen on those. If they do not have the lead, it could start right now though. A jump in by Santorin. He goes down immediately. Can't really figure out which target he wants in the beginning. He knocks back Lust Boy, and they get the kills they want, so it's TSM overextending a little bit there.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to get some deep wards in order to prep a push onto the interior turret, since they've already broken down the outers on both side lanes. But they were not respecting Hanser's Shen. As far as a first pick priority, I don't necessarily think that you pick a Shen to have a large amount of CS advantage early, but you're picking him for exact moments like that. The rest of the team was still on the same page as they make the collapse, and it did all start with Bunny Fufu, so nice call, nice trust by Gravity, and a nice turnaround to keep him in this game.
That's why he's a good support. You don't need a lot of gold to use his play pattern at all.
Making plays all day. So Bunny Fufu comes up big for the team. 2-1 for Gravity now. Team Solo Mid may be a bit tempered on their engages now. Let's see this one more time.
Santorin actually gets, I think he gets buster shotted right into the flay there. So pulled even further than he had thought he was going to go.
TSM actually has no vision of what, or they would have vision of the members in lane, and they just did that blindly.
That was a really, really poor leap forward by Santorin. They had no numbers. The Shen ult had actually started, and he was leaping into Altec towards the fray when, as soon as the Shen ultimate begins channeling, it's time to turn tail and run.
Yes.
If Santorin did not go aggressive on Altec, they could have diminished their losses right there, only had 1 death, but instead, it was 2.
Yeah, these pink wards this game, baiting everybody out. First move, now Santorin.
Baiting them with their own
selves.
selves. Lustboy and Santorin still going after the wards. And Lustboy was a very big help in upping that ward game for, or the mid game, I should say, mid game vision for Team Solo Mid. Very helpful with that on the team. See if they can keep it going towards Altec in the top lane. Keeps himself safe with a pink, and there won't be a kill coming there from Lustboy and Santorin. But he's still pretty far up here. May lead to something. Dyrus in the bot lane, just keeping that split push going.
And you were talking about how Shen doesn't need a whole lot of gold, but an Olaf with a lot of gold against the Shen, as soon as he gets that black cleaver, he really gets his split push on it. And the fact that his Q will apply it in team fights across multiple people just really opens up Wild Turtle's Ricochet to do more damage, enables the team to actually have multiple threats on it aside from just the Olaf. So I think this is a very good pick with a black cleaver coming in already at 14 minutes with 100 CS.
Jeez.
29 over the Shen. So his split push is definitely online.
Let's head back towards the top side as well. We'll see if he actually gets into any trouble here. The move is going to be backing, so it looks like everybody's kind of taking a break. The gentleman's agreement. Turret's going to be cleared top. No one's there to clear it, so just keep farming the waves on either side. No, Altec still doesn't get it. The team leaves him there alone. This is going to take even more time for Gravity and give TSM time to now move on this bot side of the map.
Yeah, it looked like TSM was a little bit slow in that rotation because Dyrus could have been up there sooner.
Right.
But now Gravity was also a little bit late coming back, or they should have stayed longer to finish it. Kind of caught between 2 choices here, giving TSM a slight edge on the turret damage bottom. It really looks right now like neither team is playing to fight. I think TSM could have the potential to pull off some fights. They need to use the mobility of the Sivir ult to find fights.
Lantern out, hook misses. You might want to disengage on this one. Gravity is still going to look to stop this dragon. It just spawned. TSM has already prepped the wards on it, so Gravity needs to get the vision down if they want to do anything.
Lulu ult down right there. Very perplexing move to cast it that early, making this dragon all the more risky because they can get 5v5'd and collapsed on in this pit. They will not have a Lulu ult.
Yeah, they already pulled Altec down from the top lane, so Dyrus is going to be able to free farm in the top lane and shove that turret out if he wants to, but he's also just prepping TP just in case.
Nice positioning
he
by
can actually
Gravity.
push this more, yeah. He stops his back to continue.
Well, he was on a ward as well, so they can see what he's doing. Looks like he's going to try to take Gromp here, and he's going to keep it. He's going to let the wave build up. He'll have more at the turret. That's not already getting crushed, but his back is coming in. See if this actually becomes a home guard for him.
Yeah, if he shows
the
top,
team is deciding.
If he shows top, it gives you priority on Dragon.
Right.
Because you have your TP up there. Shen would have to get up there to match him, or you just send all 5 people into the Dragon Pit, and even then.
This is that not want to fight you were talking about, Chad.
Yeah,
they're just dancing around each other. They're setting up for a bushwhack here on the bot side. Not going to find anybody wandering through the jungle. Gravity knows better than that.
Yeah, nice defensive ward there that Gravity has on the side.
Evelyn's coming for a flank. I don't know if they want this. Keen looks like he's also trying to come around.
Oh, that's a pink
right
ward,
pink ward.
Oh, move. This is not going to feel very good. He gets taken down. Another initiation. We saw the same thing in mid. Move gets himself into trouble alone. Altec gets hit up now. Winter's bite, but he's able to jump out. And Dyrus
on the wrong side.
Dyrus not on the right side. Lulu ultimate is up. They're going to go ahead and use that onto Dyrus, and they should be good. Wild Growth keeping him safe. Lustboy hook. Nobody can really go in under that. Winter's bite almost hits to finish with Santorin's javelin, but they dodge it out. Bjergsen flashes forward, getting a little hyphy on the side of TSM. TSM, but they know they have the turret. They're going to start backing out. Only 2-2 after all that scuffle.
Yeah, big win, though. That's now 4 turrets to 1. And the big thing is the TSM beat Gravity to the punch there. They expected a flank move from Eve, so yes, they did spot Eve in the pink ward, but they were also there to meet Eve pretty much as soon as Move walked into the area. Hanser then ulted in, so it erupted into a 5v5, but TSM had the jump on it, which is the big reason they came out ahead in that fight.
And all these pink wards that are being placed around the map for both sides are causing these conflicts. People are fighting over the vision game, but also right there, it's TSM being able to get the jump because they were playing the vision game behind them and being conscious of the Evelyn, giving it its due diligence, giving it their attention to these wards. So it's good placement on their flanks.
Great placement. Gravity as well. Seems like they're itching to get back into this one if they're going to run back into a completely TSM-covered jungle of their own.
Every conflict this game has so far started with a pink ward or involved a pink ward in some way.
Cleared them all. Well, the pink is finally cleared by Alltech in the bottom. You see him run away from the tri-brush. Hanser trying to clean up his side of the jungle, and Move doing the same. A little bit of repairing here to do. They're 4K down. Those turrets and the control of the map just all going to Team Solo mid. Back to fundamentals for them, really. We haven't seen them kind of push themselves beyond their means. They're just doing it all step by step.
One thing that could end up being a story in this game from a team composition perspective is what type of backline access is TSM going to have? Because if Keen and Alltech get into late game and begin to free hit, specifically Keen on Azir, the question will be whether or not Dyrus has enough dive to finish him off. He's going to be a really fast Olaf. He'll be immune to all the crowd control, but he still won't be able to run through the Azir wall. So if Keen can put himself in the right position, that is still impassable terrain. But he's going to be so fast that I don't know, and he's so powerful that it's probably going to be enough for them to go through. But if there is a fight, Gravity, even with the gold deficit, because of the backline damage they have, could turn some team fights in their favor.
Well, technically, Gravity's where they want to be because they do have the if Keen scenario. If Keen gets through laning phase, okay. If Keen, he is. 1 kill, yeah, he may be down 10 CS, but that's still fine for... Yeah, if Keen gets caught, though, there's the barrier. Huge shield coming in as well with the Stand United. Not going to be able to burst through that with any amount of damage, and that was a lot used to save Keen.
So that was an interesting interaction right there. When I'm talking about the Azir wall, the knockback that it provides counts as crowd control, but the actual end position is what Dyrus can't run through. The wall can go through him if he's Olaf ulted, but he can't technically go through the wall. It's very confusing to think of that way, but that's what happened.
The Keen looked a little confused.
But it actually makes Keen incentivize using it earlier. Because if Dyrus makes it into base contact with you, you're stuck there. And he's going to get Lulu ultied, and you're basically permanently slowed while he's next to you.
This makes it very hard to peel into the Olaf.
Yes.
I actually wasn't 100% sure in the interaction until seeing that exact play. So Dyrus is going to make Keen's life very hard.
Still going Hex Drinker as well, so he wants a little bit of damage with that magic resist mitigation. Good to go there. 30 CS still up onto Hanser, but Hanser's being Shen still. We saw the shield he could provide for Keen, but we did not see what they could do because the fight could not continue, really. Infinity Edge and Zeal all ready for Wild Turtle. See how much cash Alltech had in his pocket. 1,300, so he's on a Zeal as well, sitting on maybe a little bit more right to a Shiv to get these lanes pushed, possibly. Abyssal Scepter for Santorin. He's feeling pretty good about his build as well. Move is just trying to get tanky right now in his recipe.
Yeah, you typically trying to judge the damage that Gravity has in their team composition right now. It is very magic damage heavy. Runeblade, Eve, Shen doing a lot of his damage with Sunfire and Vorpal Blade, again magic damage, Azir all magic damage. And Tristana, while it is a physical damage 80 carry, very bursty with damage in teamfights, not that high of a sustained rate. So definitely expect the builds to trend on the side of magic resist for TSM, and that's their best play for upcoming games.
Abyssal Scepter for Santorin.
You can do stuff like that now because the Runeblade gives you a lot of the mana back. Previously, you kind of had to go Tyr or Roa on the Nidalee, but you're not locked into that build anymore.
I really like this build because it doesn't have that ramp-up time to it. You stay relevant in the mid-game and even stronger than you were before. You don't have to wait on a Tyr or a Roa. But speaking of damage threats, though, this gold advantage is kind of crept up over time.
TSM items just got explosive.
It's from these turrets. So if you actually look at the gold, Santorin's up 1,000 despite being only 10 CS up and even kills.
And a lot of that is from the map controls, Irene, because Gravity's the team with the turret killing ability. They have Trist and Azir, probably the best AD carry and best mid laner for killing turrets. But TSM has always just been the first one there. They've had more time on the turrets. They've kept their lanes shoved because they have a tremendous wave clear within their team, and they're just not giving Gravity the windows in which to kill turrets.
And they have all this vision control on the left side. So many pink wards. They have scuttle control. This Baron is
probably
this Baron's gone. You can't really face check this area.
Yeah,
you can see how scared they are.
They have a scrying orb off cooldown, so they should be using it, and they should be charging that zone right now. They just popped the scrying orb.
They'll get there a little late.
Vision, Santorin's actually quite low after this. That's going to be the smite down. Keen comes in very big, but Dyrus is around the wall. He's actually going to use Ragnarok to get himself right out. Everybody dodges the hook. Move! That's a big hit by Move as he comes in with the ultimate. TSM's going to have to scatter on this one. Bjergsen and Dyrus both go down after that, but they have Baron. The lanes can be in their favor now. See if Gravity can work anything off of this. The waves aren't there to take down the turrets, unfortunately, but they might be able to set up some wards that could really pay off.
How TSM was allowed to get that much vision control of Gravity's jungle was because of the fact they had the top turrets down, the mid turret down, and they just spent all their time there, and Gravity allowed them to do that.
Yeah.
The pink wards being around the entrance points too, they would have been able to spot move out if he was trying to counter ward that area.
Yeah. The cost of that Baron actually is pretty high though. TSM loses 2, they give up the Dragon, their 5 Dragon counter is gone. Because of the kills as well, and if you're counting the effective gold at the 6% attack damage and ability power that Gravity gets, unless TSM knocks down another outer turret with his Baron buff, I actually say that's a loss for TSM in the long run. Even with the ward coverage of Gravity being around the Dragon Pit, they probably should have suspected when all of TSM is MIA, also not prepping the Dragon Pit and also not in lanes. Gravity about 5 seconds slower than they should have been reacting to that. And if they would have reacted in turn, maybe it could have been even more disastrous for TSM. Look at how low they actually did get from this Baron.
Very sneaky.
Therefore, they don't want to turn and burn on this one. They just run away. But they come back a little bit for Dyrus, which groups them up, gives Move a great opportunity for a 5-man Eve ultimate. Percentage health and the slow allows him to pick up 2 nice kills.
The Hanser with the just edge taunt there. Turn him around and pick up the kill on Bjergsen.
Definitely can't count Gravity out. They know how to find the fights at the right time, and 24 minutes in, they were waiting quite a while for that. It's only 2-2 before that, and only 2 kills came of the Baron attempt. Aegis quickly being built up, now finished down to Lustboy. We were saying that item spike was in TSM's favor, and Gravity was actually able to pull out a possible win. During that time, there was a ping on the blue buff that TSM saw Gravity take it down, so they may be able to work off that again. The double sight stone of Santorin and Lustboy has been coming up big for vision in that area.
And they have to abuse that vision. They have to put it throughout multiple lanes right now and get this middle turret down. Be with the Baron buff. There they go. That's how they're going to equalize the turrets with it. And now they have to crack the base somehow. And this is going to be testing every lane pretty much simultaneously. Split push, put wards on both sides of the jungle. It's the Gravity's jungle. And keep going between them. You have a Sivir, you can out-rotate, you can go for a fight if they mess up much faster.
Let's see if TSM's experience here in these playoffs come into play here. Already, the fundamentals are working. We haven't seen them go outside the box just yet. But the fundamentals and adapting from game to game are kind of where they are strong. If Gravity does something big in-game, that's what we're looking for. If TSM can adapt on the spot. Right now for that Baron fight, it's the only real edge that Gravity has had in this game. Still now down 5,000 gold. TSM, they're going to start hitting these inhibitor turrets up. And once they can spread Gravity across the front of their base, it's going to be hard to split this team up.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to actually crack this base without some type of fight or incredibly long run around within the base.
Right.
Sivir, very low range AD carry. They have a lot of move speed, but they really don't have very good range to assault on turrets. Add that to the fact that the catch potential for an Azir team near the base is super high. If Keen pulls off one of those Shurima Supermans where he just kind of flies in behind the team.
We're just changing the name every week.
Yeah, may as well. And then ults his team back into the turret. Having that Azir wall and trapping multiple people within the turret, since TSM is very short range, is devastating. So therefore, if TSM plays it smart, they can't group 5 in front of a turret. It's going to be a very 1-3-1 type, 1-4-1, lots of rotations, and probably will just end up being more Dragon and Baron timers that we could be in for a long game if this one's played too expected.
Yeah, they'd have to test all the lanes, but even then, You have Bunny Fufu on Thresh. The catch potential is huge if one person is caught out. And Keen has the Rylai's Crystal Scepter. You talked about Nazir just super banning in. All he has to do is poke them. And if he can actually catch up to them and deal enough damage, it pushes them away. You get to counter the pressure and then push all lanes out. Because if one person gets chunked out in the lane, it actually affects all the other ones too.
Yep. Looking at Gravity's items, they seem to be playing this very safe. Bunny Fufu to finish all the way to face of the mountain. Sometimes we'll see that Talisman of Ascension or a Cell to Righteous Glory. Interesting. They want to be very defensive in all these plays. Lucidity Boots as well, give him time to hook and peel for his team. But we kind of see that idea that Gravity's working with right now, knowing TSM's trying to set up these gank brushes, get an edge in the middle of the map, and then crush down. Not going to work this time. Oh, Gravity playing it very safe and measured. Minute and 40 just about on both of the objectives to come back on the map. And I think that's when TSM trying to get the fight they're trying to bait Gravity into.
Yeah. And I have to mention the irony in Move right now. Not having boots. He is.
Oh, man.
This entire season, he's been all about mobility and wards, and he has neither a Sightstone nor boots.
He did upgrade Trinket.
Yeah, with the upgraded Trinket.
And he has W.
Do not expect a Sightstone from Move at any point in this game, because he can hit his ward cap with that Trinket, unless he eventually decides to go over to Sweeper, which he doesn't really care about because he's only worried about pink wards in this specific instance.
Yeah.
So this is the right play for him in this instance. But the boots, those should be his next item.
He's 2,000 gold behind Santorin right now, who got a Sightstone on the Nidalee, which was Move's thing. He's stealing his thing. Everybody stole his thing when Move actually started doing that. Yep. Speaking of Move, he's going for an engage here. Going to the back.
Whoa. See how quickly they can get this one. Dyrus going all the way through. He's actually on to Haunter, one of the tankier guys. They get Move in the front, though, and he goes down immediately. He's only got his jungle item and a Locket of the Iron Solari. Not enough to keep him alive. TSM now staring. I guess GV would be staring down the barrel. TSM's ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, interesting the Gravity went in for that one despite their gold deficit, and knowing how well they are suited to anti-sieging, especially since Baron and Dragon are not up yet.
Yeah, but they're almost up and the jungler's down, so Gravity actually throw away a little bit of an opportunity and more to TSM. They get to claim a blue, they get to claim vision control of this area, and you can see Shen ultimate is down. Dyrus has his TP down, so now you're seeing that TSM is going to group up for this next objective, and it looks like they're going for a pick here.
Well, trying to use their speed.
The Whimsy combo with Braum Winter's Bite. Slow that in. Concussive blows lock up, and that guy isn't going anywhere. They're trying it each time. Each time they try it, Gravity becomes more and more aware, so it's only going to be harder. A lot of damage taken there, even with the stand behind me. Or Unbreakable, I should say. And he gets out of that one.
Can't really sneak a Baron anymore. It's not a fast Baron killing team.
No, definitely not. They're all about the mobility. So they do have all ultimates up except for the Braum ult on TSM side. So
Dyrus is going again.
Effectively, this is working well for Team Solo Mid. From top to bottom, they have just been slowly shredding Gravity's health bars. Now finally bait them into that dragon fight and whittle them down even more. This may not be kills. They're definitely funneling in on this one. The focus is hard on the hunts there. Nothing's going to actually finalize a kill, though. Move is already down from previously. We'll see if he can come back up into this fight here.
Yeah, it synchronizes with a very large minion wave, which is all too convenient for TSM. This could actually be the inhibitor because there are not enough home guard boots on Gravity right now to recall and defend this.
One kill for a turret and an inhib to pick up there. TSM, that's not even a trade, that's what they got on their side.
Yeah, well, so much of this game has been Bjergsen blowing his Lulu ultimate very early in a defensive fashion. This time, when they forced the Dragon, Gravity moved to defend 4v5, and TSM was able to use the Lulu ultimate offensively. Dyrus ran in, they got the Lulu ultimate, they blew them up. But in doing so, now they are exposed to a potential Baron. Azir crushes this thing. TSM slow on the recalls.
Much faster. Can he even steal it?
No, it's Baron.
Oh boy, that was close.
Wow. So in getting the inhibitor, TSM overexposed themselves. That's a tough one to lose, but Gravity, because their recalls were basically synced to eventually get the inhibitor, that's the way it worked, but we gotta go over this fight one more time.
Yeah, this is the combo right here. You get Dyrus into the back line with his ultimate, with his movement speed increase from it, and then you give him the Lulu ultimate, and if your team is lagging behind, he just slows everybody down for you with his axes with the Lulu ultimate on him. and then it's movement speed increase after movement speed increase to trail this fight off.
I don't know how they
It's a great combo.
Fast feet from Gravity there to get out of that.
And we even talked about how if Dyrus gets separated when he dives in, he's still going to have the movement speed slow on him.
Yeah.
That by the time your team is freed up, he'll catch him.
I have a great composition for catching.
Long
Seems like it's been
blades,
the one person, so really big credit to Gravity for being able to dip and dodge these crowd control effects coming in from Team Solo Mid here and there.
It's that chase down.
Yeah. So Baron now for Gravity, they can do a little repair work on these lanes, get it pushed out, maybe to the river, and find a fight in the jungle that they can actually control here. Team Solo Mid does not have as many wards as they did previously towards that top side. It's all on the bottom now, and that inhibitor's already gone, so they're going to have to get those wards moving. Cleaning up blue buff for now should keep Team Solo Mid very safe, but Team Solo Mid has to be wondering. Many games have happened like this for them this year. You can even think back to the first game versus Cloud9, where it becomes a late game falter. Keen can do that on Azir. There are plays to be made from this team still. It's pretty tricky.
And
Gravity just seems so measured when they go at it.
Gravity's definitely doing a lot to stay in this game. Being able to sneak the Baron after the inhibitor goes down, being able to get that one dragon when TSM did pick up the Baron. When TSM is going for the big game-winning plays, Gravity's been doing enough to neutralize it and stay close. And that's the type of thing that can really stretch these games out and make the next mistake game-deciding. Basically, since Gravity took the Baron buff, the next real TSM push can't come until Baron is up again, which is a good 7 minutes after.
The small things they've done. Even that one dragon, they were able to put themselves in between, have stopped Team Solo Mid from really having a huge win condition here. Nice little base set up outside on the half of Team Solo Mid here with the legacy of Shurima, but it doesn't look like they can even really control it that much without a big minion wave. So it's just to stall out the game, still allowing their lanes to push out nicely here. They may be able to get something on Team Solo Mid. Dyrus is now going to have to take care of bottom and respect that wave as Gravity sets up some defense.
So I'm looking at Bunny Fufu's build, and I'm half hoping that that's a Zeke's Harbinger to enable Altec. Because it could be a Frozen Heart, but I do want to see the Zeke's out of him. Altec is just so much of this team's damage. It would give him the 100%, or really close to 100% crit rate there with the static shiv. That it would definitely enable him to be a large carry threat. If Dyrus dives him, he's going to get crit multiple times, and he may not even survive.
It's exactly the item that Gravity actually needs to face this specific TSM iteration. TSM's putting everything on a Dyrus, and the only way you stop a speeding Olaf is killing him. So whatever type of burst damage they can do is the greater. Way back in Season 2, back when top lane Olaf was very, very popular, there was always this swing moment in the games. Whenever the AD carry becomes powerful enough to kill the Olaf, the game ends. Olaf can no longer win the game at that point, because prior to that, he's always just being able to steamroll and crush that person. AD carries did scale much more aggressively back then, and there's been some top lane itemization that makes that even harder. But with the Zeke's Harbinger, it may be a call back to that time. It won't be until Altec is near max items, and when you're adding in the fact that there's a Lulu ult and Lulu shields, maybe we never reach that point.
Exactly.
But that's what Gravity should be going for.
And you're also talking about top lane itemization. It looks like it might be a Thornmail. It is just a cloth armor, but he is clearly itemizing against Altec. The Ninja Tabi on top of the Randuins, and then another armor item in the works for Dyrus.
He knows it's going to sting. I mean, he'll be running right past Keen, right? Keen's going to be focusing other things. You don't have enough soldier moves to follow where Dyrus is going. So I do like it. The Maw of Mortius already built in. Santorin, a little bit of safety with his Zanya's built up now. Just completely a core item ahead of Move at this point. And Move went mobility boots as well when he finally did hit them in the jungle.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast, I guess.
Yeah, the largest goal discrepancy is between junglers. It's 3,000 in favor of Santorin.
Gonna be difficult. Move just trying to put in the cheeky plays here. If he can get a few to be made, the team may be able to squeak themselves back in with, as you guys are saying, Altec's power, or maybe a good play from Keen here on Azir. Yeah, Santorin and the rest of the team setting up in the side brush. Nothing gonna come of this, but reset minion waves in the mid, back and forth. I think we'll get this for a few minutes until they decide to go for one of the objectives.
They love this push. They love baiting out the Baron, but what they also accomplish by having this line of pink wards is they protect it for 3 minutes. There's no way Gravity has any wards behind them in the Baron pit. So then they get to set this up. This is a play that's actually making it so that they have this controlled in a minute and a half when the Baron does come up. They're being very stubborn with this area. This is my lane.
Yeah, they need to be. That's basically the last win condition TSM has. It's a little bit surprising they're not trying to utilize Dyrus more in the split push role against Hauntzer. Hauntzer, though, really, really heavily prioritizing armor. It's very hard for Dyrus to cut through him in a substantial way. And because of the Lulu Sivir, Dyrus is a very key component of their team fighting. So they're kind of bringing a split push champion, but since they need it for team fights, they end up grouping more frequently. And yeah, this game will be hinging around these objectives, since that is what TSM needs to control, and also it's what they need to draw Gravity out of their very effective trap.
Bjergsen has a lot of AP at this point. He's got 600 exactly, and the Luden's Echo.
Yeah.
So he's a very large AP damage threat, hitting the level 18 already. So it's not just Dyrus you have to worry about anymore.
Move, getting hit. Playing a little scary, but he still has the safety. Keep doing what he's doing.
Dyrus canceled TP.
That's not good. They needed that TP for
also going
threat. He could have also come in with home guards if he would have recalled. Instead, he gets distortion boost, more frequent ghosting, and a faster ghost.
Got to go fast.
That's really all
Everybody wants to go fast this game.
Remember, with the 600 AP, that puts Bjergsen's Wild Growth at a 900 health shield, not even counting the 600 health he's going to be getting from pick shields. So it's if he puts both of those things onto Dyrus, it's an extra 1,500 health. It's basically a whole person on top.
Gravity is literally doing everything they need to not fail in one of these fights.
Right
now to Dyrus, the team's gonna go huge. Hauntzer doesn't get a taunt there, but it's still enough pressure to push Dyrus out with both summoners down now after that teleport was used.
That's disaster. TSM gives up Dragon for no contest and then loses their Ghost and Ultimate on their main engage, and then they fight!
What?
Alltech takes the Lantern back. He's safe. Enough peel for him to dish out the damage on the back line, and Lustboy and the rest of the team, they can't close that. Hauntzer gives a quick shield, but he's also able to get that one out. His teammate goes down, and now Team Solo Mid back and forth with Gravity in the mid lane, and it looks like Bjergsen rather, on the Lulu, able to pick up Bunny Fufu here after the hook goes through. A triple kill for him as he comes out very big, and Santorin's able to clean up the turret from that Azir as they push down mid lane. Inhibitor coming in for Team Solo Mid. Looks like they may go down for the bot lane here. They're going to get mid, then bot.
They have their AD carry and Infinity Wave against Just Shen with long death timers. This might be the game. Oh my goodness.
Lustboy's ultimate was key in that. It kept Alltech in range because he had to walk all over the slow field, and they picked him up, and then they just ran all over the team with the speeds. This was how this comp is built, and it worked out perfectly there. They're just going to end the game.
What a ridiculous fight to put Team Solo Mid in the base of Gravity at the end. Alltech jumping forward. Gravity not being able to close the gap, and Team Solo Mid found the fight that they wanted and had been prepping for the last 10 minutes in mid.
Man, that's one way to end it. Like, yes, TSM won that fight. We need to look at that again, because the whole slow play and prepping and anything you would expect from the TSM team of having Dyrus run in with Ragnarok and Ghost and then zoning the team fights, and none of that happened.
Yeah,
that was a complete mess of a last team fight. But TSM outplayed Gravity. Gravity had more positional errors, because if we're following the logic of when TSM should have been